Plot thickens as Ninja Gaiden Episode 3, The Ancient Ship of Doom, begins. Not only was Irene killed, but someone imitating Ryu Hayabusa was the perpetrator. As expected, Ninja Gaiden 3 brings with it a host of new features. In a throwback to the original arcade game, you can once again grab onto and dangle from pipes, ropes, and other small ledges. Each game has had a special power-up that isn't seen in the others. The first game had Spin Slash, the sequel had Shadow Clones, and this game has a sword upgrade. This sword upgrade is permanent unless you die, and you want it at all times. It essentially just doubles, maybe even triples the effectiveness of the sword. The hitbox becomes a lot longer and even taller. If you find yourself without this upgrade at any point in this game, you're going to be missing it. On top of these other additions, there is a new Ninpo as well, the Vacuum Wave. This new technique will protect you from above and below. I have a hunch that the art of the Windblade from the 3D era of games was based on the Vacuum Wave. Use these new features to fight your way through the lab in search of answers. Once you do, you'll find yourself on the Stage 1 boss. Just like in the previous entries, this first boss is quite easy. When he has his arms up in front of him, you cannot hit him from the front. Jump over him, hit him in the back, and he'll be done before you know it. All he's going to do is walk towards you and occasionally shoot power waves. When he does this, cling to a wall or jump over him, and you'll have a free damage window. Once the boss is defeated, a mysterious man appears and tells us to go somewhere called the Castle Rock Fortress. He promises that we'll find answers there, but does not give us any more details. Act 2 begins with us heading towards the Castle Rock Fortress. We find ourselves with some more environmental hazards, just like the second game. This time around, we have to contend with quicksand. Sink down too low, and you'll take massive damage or even die. Make sure to consistently jump while in quicksand, and you'll never get dragged down. Turns out you're out of the frying pan and into the fire, because once you're inside, you have to contend with lava. A mainstay of not only Ninja Gaiden, but video games in general. Utilize the new feature of dangling on pipes to help climb your way up as the lava chases you. The lava climbs slow, so make sure to wait until the enemies spawn above so you know what you're jumping into. Once you've successfully avoided the rising lava, there's one last short run to the boss room. Be cautious of those spikes on the ceiling, because if you jump into them, they will hurt you. And here we are on the Stage 2 boss. He's going to swoop down and pause occasionally to shoot fireballs downwards. When he does this, he leaves himself open. If you have the art of the Firewheel Ninpo that you can throw upwards, you can hit him while he's frozen. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait for him to swoop low enough to be in range of your sword. Once he's taken care of, we're treated to a familiar face. Foster. Those of you who have watched every episode will know him from the first game. Ryu accuses Foster of being involved with Irene's death. He sarcastically snaps back, saying he heard Ryu is the one that killed Irene. Foster's clearly up to no good, but he gives us no further answers. Ryu's gonna have to continue the search to find the truth. The search for truth leads Ryu to a forest. Keep an eye on that river underneath you, as there are fish that will jump out and try to bite you. Here's a good example of a use for the vacuum blade. When you're dangling, you have threats above and below you, but the vacuum wave will take out both. Here's a particularly dangerous section where a fish could be the death of you. Gotta be ready and make sure to take him out before he knocks you off this platform. Once you're back on solid ground, just a couple fish stand between you and stage 3-2. Once inside, make sure to move quick, as spike balls are gonna drop from above. Here we find ourselves being attacked by all manner of creatures, and there's some tight jumps here, so be very cautious where you're jumping and when. There's a sword power-up down here, and like I've said before, you always want to have the sword power-up. Once the sword power-up's in your hand, work your way back up, and then you're going to be on the boss. What you want for this boss is the invincible fire wheel, so the projectiles can't hurt you. If you have that, you can just activate it, stand in front of one of the bosses, and do massive damage. I unfortunately lost my invincible fire wheel and just have the standard fire wheel, so I'm stuck doing it the old-fashioned way. Do as much damage when you can. When they start throwing shurikens, do your best to avoid them. After the boss is defeated, we're confronted with the imposter. He taunts Ryu and lures him into a duel. A duel that Ryu actually loses. The imposter continues to taunt Ryu as he explains not only does he look like Ryu, he's got all the skills and talents of Ryu as well. Even though Ryu's injured, the imposter says he can't quite finish him yet. Foster's orders. And just like that, a giant puzzle piece falls into place. Foster is in fact behind this imposter, which means he's also behind Irene's death, as the imposter has already confirmed that he is in fact the one who killed Irene. And so the journey to Castle Rock Fortress continues. We find ourselves in an industrial complex with a lot of moving platforms. Thankfully, you can dangle from these platforms. There's a lot of turret placements and mechanized drones trying to put a stop to your journey. They especially like to jump you when you're on the moving platforms. For obvious reasons, you're gonna have to be very careful, because if you take a hit on one of those platforms, you're as good as dead. Pull the plug on all the mechanized malefactors, and you'll find yourself inside yet again. There's still a lot of mechanical threats, but the biggest threat here are the spikes that are gonna rise and fall periodically. Learn the pattern of these spikes well, because if you misstep, you're gonna take a nasty 6 points of damage. At this point, I like to use the invincible fire wheel to run through the spikes, get the full Nempo refill, take out all these enemies, and swap it out for just the regular fire wheel, because we're going to want it for the boss. There's one last spike hazard here. Wait for it to go down and run into the boss room. Here we have a mechanized mole that's going to burrow underground occasionally and try to shoot fireballs at you. Climb up to that middle platform when he's trying to shoot the fireballs, and you should be pretty safe. Make sure to get out of the way when he burrows back up. If he's in the air or on high platforms, make sure to throw the fireballs at him. With the boss defeated, the mysterious man that told us about Castle Rock Fortress appears yet again. At least this time he tells us his name is Clancy. He also informs us that he's a whistleblower. He worked with Foster, but the experiments that were being conducted were too much for him to handle. Through experimentation, Foster has created superhuman creatures called bionoids. I'm sure you could put two and two together yourself, but he also informs us that Ryu's imposter is in fact a bionoid. With the necessary exposition out of the way, Clancy begs Ryu to put a stop to Foster's plans. And would you look at that? It's panoramic view time. Castle Rock Fortress is finally in our sights. This game is already extremely difficult because you only get the 5 continues, but this is where things start really ramping up. You'll find that this game loves its tall climbs. Make sure to dangle from these moving platforms and climb as fast as you can, otherwise these ships are going to close in on you. Use your vacuum wave at the top here to clear out some enemies, and you're on your way. You're on your way, but you're not home free. We now find ourselves deeper in Castle Rock Fortress. These tripods are going to shoot lasers at you that you have to duck under. Combine that with other enemies at the same time, and it can become a real hassle. Work your way through this maze. Watch out for the turrets on the walls. And once at the top, we encounter a pretty fun sequence. A collapsible bridge. Make sure to keep moving. I like to use my Ninpo to get the extra life. And then once you get to this invincible fire wheels, activate it and run your way through. For this particular boss, we want the regular fire wheel, so I'm going to use the invincible fire wheel one last time and swap it out. Once you take out these final 2 laser droids, we're on to the boss. We made it to the heart of Castle Rock Fortress, and Foster steps out of the shadows. He plans on killing Ryu and using his corpse to create a superior bionoid. He calls on the imposter yet again to fight Ryu. But before the fight can get started, a woman's voice echoes through the halls. It's Irene, and she brought a machine gun. Foster's shocked that she's still alive, but she explains she found out about his plans and knew that he was going to try having her killed. She pulled a fast one on old Foster. The chaos continues as Foster's bionoid reveals its true form. Irene earns my respect by lighting up the bionoid. It's not too effective though, so the true boss battle begins. For being such a powerful entity, the boss battle is not too tough. His pattern is easy to exploit. When he's trapped in the corner, jump over the shurikens, getting a few hits where you can, and then when he flips out of the corner, throw some fireballs at him. Rinse and repeat, and the imposter will be 6 feet under. As Ryu closes in on Foster, there's another revelation. Clancy's a saboteur. He wants Foster's experiments and the ruins all to himself, so he used us to clear it out for him. A dimensional rift teleports Clancy and tears Foster apart. Ryu chooses to follow Clancy through the dimensional rift, but tells Irene to stay where she is. After all, we saw what it did to Foster. Absolutely tore him to pieces. It'd be too dangerous for her. Irene really wants to help, but Ryu is able to convince her to stay. With one last promise to Irene that he'll come back alive, Ryu enters the dimensional rift. This is an otherworldly crystal, not ice, but it acts very similarly. You're going to be slipping and sliding all over the place. Remember, I told you this game loves its tall climbs. Slowly work your way up with the vacuum wave if you have it, and then when you get to the top, use it, and then jump across. Once you progress, you'll find yourself in this maze of weird membrane. Make sure to jump a lot because this membrane acts as quicksand. You do not want to get dragged all the way through. Once you make this jump, there's one wave of pumpkin heads and drones, then the boss. And this boss, let me tell you, has been a long time coming. That's right, Foster has mutated and he wants Ryu dead. You're going to want to cling to the wall to avoid his fireball, and when he hits the wall, rocks are going to fall from the sky. So you want to use your Ninpo when he hits the wall to destroy the rocks and then slash him in the back. The vacuum wave works best here, but the upwards fire wheel works as well. Loop that pattern and we finally get our revenge on Foster. After defeating Foster, Ryu is teleported to a mysterious area, and Clancy stands behind him. Clearly, the life energy is having an effect on him as well. He reveals that the ruins are actually a dimensional warship. And so the final act in the final game of the original trilogy begins. Irene from a safe distance sees the dimensional warship rising out of the ground. Now we know why the title of this game is The Ancient Ship of Doom. Clancy decides to give us a show of power from this devastating warship. Poor Ryu falls for another trapdoor. As a throwback to the first game. Not that you guys necessarily care, but I do want to make mention that this just might be my favorite stage of the entire trilogy visually. It just looks so cool. The clouds underneath as you're going across, the wind effect pushing you back. Something about it, I just eat it up. It's short-lived, however, because as you work your way across, you find a doorway and you're inside. Now, the invincible fire wheel is extremely, extremely important. You're going to want to keep it as long as you can, and you're going to want to use it as often as you can. The last invincible fire wheel in the entire game is on the outside of the ship, so if you were to die now, you're stuck without it unless you get game over. And trust me, it's much harder without it. This jump here can make or break the whole fire wheel, so you got to be very careful. You want to land on this bottom platform, dangle from the top platform, use your fire wheels, and jump across. As you can see, the invincible fire wheel is an absolute blessing. I'm becoming a broken record. Tall climbs, invincible fire wheels being a blessing. You get the idea. Use another fire wheel here, and then grab the extra life down below. You do have very limited continues in this game, so any extra life you want to get. Once you're back up top, you're on to 7-3. If you still have your invincible fire wheels here, you can use it to get through the spikes. Work your way through the Ancient Ship of Doom, destroy enemy that stands in your way, and soon you'll be facing Clancy. Clancy foolishly tries to convince Ryu to join him in his mission to wipe out mankind. And with that, the fight begins. I was able to make it here with the invincible fire wheels, so what you want to do is use it to avoid the lightning and slash at Clancy. Get too close and the invincible fire wheels will disappear, so make sure to keep your distance. That's probably the hardest boss in the entire trilogy if you don't have the invincibility. Turns out Clancy was a demon all along. Now we have to fight his true form.
I had him dead to rights.
What happened?
It has been an impressive run. But you must be aware of all foes, including time itself.
That's right, time doesn't reset between stages, so when you do really well and don't die at all, time becomes a real danger. And this is Ninja Gaiden, so you know there's multiple bosses at the end. At least we were able to take down Clancy, and now just 2 bosses remain. I wish I put more of a spotlight on it before, but the music in these games is next level. I absolutely love all the music in these games, and something about this final stage, it just gets you so amped. When you're running through and taking down all the enemies properly, it really makes you feel like the hero running to save the day. I know, cringe, but I eat it up. And because of that, I'm just gonna let you guys watch me get back to the boss room without any commentary. Just take in the music and the gameplay. And with that, we've made it back. So what you want to do is kind of jump away from the boss when he's pulling in the fireballs. And if you have the sword upgrade, you can still slash at him while you do that. Once he throws the fireballs, just run under him and move to the next platform, and you should be safe. I didn't space my slashes super well there, but we got the job done. Now we get a very simple, but to me, absolutely epic boss introduction. It's all come down to this. War Droid, the final boss of the trilogy. Much like the previous titles, you want to destroy the head to reveal the heart.
Down to 1 health and the second phase just started? It's times like these I always drop the ball. Not this time. This is the moment where you can prove your mastery of the original Ninja Gaiden trilogy. Kobe, I did it! I stayed clutch. We beat the original trilogy.
With 1 health to spare, we have taken down the War Droid and put an end to Clancy's plans. Humanity is safe once again thanks to the Dragon Ninja. As the ship begins a crash landing, Ryu teleports to safety. No Ninja Gaiden would be complete without a crumbling castle in the distance. With the ship and the castle destroyed, Irene and Ryu find themselves in a familiar position, on a mountain peak in the middle of nowhere, looking out at destruction. A new day is, in fact, about to begin, because at the time of this upload, Ragebound has just released, and I couldn't be happier that Ninja Gaiden is finally back. I really hope you guys enjoyed this look back at the retro Ninja Gaiden games. Such an important series to me, and I just wanted to revisit it and showcase it now that we have a new 2D side-scrolling Ninja Gaiden game releasing. Honestly, something I never thought I'd say, but man, am I glad to have been wrong about that. The first half of becoming the Ultimate Ninja has come to a close. I am going to be revisiting the 3D era closer to Ninja Gaiden 4's release, but it'll probably be a couple months before I start uploading those. So for now, enjoy my Ragebound playthrough. I know I'm going to. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this first half and look forward to more in the future. Let me know what you thought down in the comments below, and I hope to see you in Ragebound. Alright. I think it's safe to say that I'm ready for Ragebound.
Prove it. Time for a ride on the F5. Ooh-sah! That's what I'm talking about. How you like that?
It's true what they say. The answer lies in the heart of battle.
You do not fight like a ninja, but your skills have undoubtedly improved. You have proven yourself ready for Ragebound. Enjoy the new Ninja Gaiden title, for after a brief respite, your final trial truly begins. You must revisit the 3D era and prove yourself ready for Ninja Gaiden 4.